Good morning, Stephen. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing good. I am Stephanie. For those that don't know, I'm Stephanie, and this is my um, online book club. Had a book club for about a year at a coffee shop, and now I've been doing it online for a few months. The purpose of this is to introduce authors, to help them to bring out their books to more people, and to talk about their books. So thank you, Stephen, for joining Love Misunderstood Online Book Club.
Thank you. I'm honored. Thank you.
You are so welcome. I'm so excited about this interview, and the things that Stephen will share. So, Stephen, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I'm a child of God. I'm also a child of a wonderful woman who made her transition about 10 years ago, but she definitely pushed me in the direction of what I'm doing now in terms of writing. So I'm definitely proud to say that I'm the child of a wonderful woman named Vivian Sims Hockenhull. Also, I'm an author, as you just mentioned, 4 books now, and those titles include Mail on Thursday, Hottie, A Mother's Christmas Gift, which happens to be my personal favorite. And of course, this year we began with Valentine Therapy for Valentine's 2020. And so, yeah, and I'm also a new uncle.
Yay, being an uncle is awesome, isn't it?
It is.
Congratulations, Uncle Stephen.
You're
Um,
welcome.
so tell us about your first book. Before you tell us about the book, I'm sorry, would you tell us when you discovered you wanted to be an author? What was that like?
Um,
What happened? What were you doing?
um, I want to say, well, I got to start from the beginning because
Okay, okay,
I started off with children's books like uh, Arthur Mark Brown,
yeah,
and I started off with him and his series, and then to see his book series become the international cartoon phenomenon that it is. It was really like, wow, okay. But it started there because I always admired how authors were able to take take what they have on the inside and bring it alive to touch other people. So that was the humble beginnings. And my mom started me on the author series. But to make a long story short, I, as an author, when I felt compelled and moved to write a book, it had to be after I read a famous 1986 musical memoir by one of the legendary Supremes. When I read her book, it kind of solidified everything that I wanted. I felt, I kind of felt like, that moment was the moment of clarity. It was my moment of epiphany, and it just was my moment to kind of pushed me into that direction. It literally gave me, by reading that book, it was like, you have to do this. And
yes.
since reading that book, I just felt like, okay, like I know I can do this. So that was
Yes,
my definite push.
that is very neat, a very neat story. You never know um, what is going to uh, get to you, what is going to, uh, when you're
Right?
going through stages of life, you never know what direction the full direction that it's going in. So, walking by faith is what that is. You're just walking, and then
Yeah.
one day all of a sudden, oh, that's why that had to happen. Oh, that's why that needed to happen. And so it's
Yeah.
awesome that you started out reading children's books, and that your
Yes.
mom is the one that inspired it, because after that, I know that she continued to inspire some other things in you. And so we'll talk about that in a little bit. So what are some of the things that you do to prepare for writing when you're writing your books?
One of the most things I do to kind of prep would definitely, I have to separate myself from other, outside influences. I have
Hmm.
to kind of get still. And generally, before that, there is an idea that's already been brewing, like coffee, and uh, like there would be something there would have been some sort of an encounter that that I've made or I may have read about or something, but that's the norm of my prep is getting away, trying to channel all my thoughts and trying to and that would be my prep is number one, stepping away and getting into a quiet place because you got to have a quiet place because if you're not, because everyone who doesn't realize what it takes to kind of get our thoughts together, this is it's just very essential for the author. So I would say step away. And then of course, I couldn't do any of this without God. I have to pray. You have to pray. You have to, sacrifice. Uh, and definitely, that's my process. And I just try to. And the main thing I do and make sure is making sure that it's built in giving hope. That's my main. That is the anchor of what it is that I do is making sure that whatever that storyline that God's given me is that it's built in hope, and so that would be the foundation. And so just by my prayer time, and definitely have to fast and just trying to receive what I can from Him, and so that would be my prep definitely.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Awesome.
So now I want to ask you, how many books have you written?
Currently four.
And
Currently,
how, go ahead.
just currently four.
Okay. And so how long did it take you to write those four books?
The duration, well, they kind of each had their unique timeline
Yes.
for writing. The first one, um, the first one goes back to 2017. Yes, 2017, and that was about a year and some change for writing. Um, that one, yeah, that was about a year and some change. The second one, I was blessed to do in about maybe a 6 month span, and then of course, my Christmas book was about 2 months, and then of course Valentine's kind of just happened at the last moment. But they have different duration periods, and they definitely lead me in places that I don't really expect to go, but they kind of that is required of me. So each one I've done has been its own unique duration of time length, and trying to put it together. So that's been my experience thus far.
That's awesome. So I didn't ask you that question right. Thank you for giving, the answer that you gave. Um, because you talked about each individual book. So now I'm asking you collectively, and that's the way I should have said it. But and again, thanks for. So collectively, how long did it take you? 1 year to write all of those books together? All four of those books. How long has it been? A year, 2 years altogether?
Perhaps I want to say two or more,
Okay.
about two or more. Some,
Okay.
mhm.
That is amazing to have written that many books in that short period of time. And I know that you had to stay really focused,
Oh yeah.
in order to get those completed. And so that is great. I admire that. So tell us, what is the name of the first book?
My first book is called Mail on Thursday.
Okay. And so tell us a little bit about what that book is about.
That book was began out of, kind of like a cathartic, you know, uh, remedy for me. It was basically about I had met someone who I just was like, oh God, you know, somebody, how you meet, how you meet someone and you kind of like, oh, like you're instantly just oh da 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 da.
Yeah.
And so, but make a long story short, I had met someone in 2017, and I mean, when I tell you that I was head over heels, it was a head over heels situation, and I'm still fortunate to have met the the subject of that book. I'm very fortunate to have met such a kind person, a wonderful human being. But to make a long story short, it is about, it came from cathartic purposes. And I have not seen, my, big, heart. We haven't seen each other since 2017. And so, because of the circumstances that kind of went along the way, it was very, um, I, I kind of really felt like I wanted to, all the things I wanted to say are in this book. And so it really gave me like a healing, very therapeutic, very much so. But it's about, in the book, it's about an interior designer who happens to find love at her front desk, who actually is experiencing difficulty retrieving her mail. And so he takes it upon himself, the lead guy takes it upon himself to present her mail. And it's entitled Mail on Thursday because he says, don't worry about it. You don't have to go through that trouble to receive your mail. I'll present you your mail. So from that formed a friendship, and then slowly an interest, and the rest is, as they say,
Wow. That is awesome. And I can't wait to read that book. What about your second book? Tell us the name of your second book and tell us a little bit about it.
Hostel Meets Hottie. That is the second title, and and that origin is a little unique as well because it's based on the Pride and the Prejudice. It's like my version of Pride and the Prejudice, and anyone that's read or familiar with Pride and the Prejudice knows that that's a big piece. But it is based in modern day society. It's about a school teacher slash activist um, teaching in New York, teaching in, I believe, Manhattan, teaching in Manhattan. And she's very dedicated to her career, very driven by not just her career, but also driven by social justice. And so when she finally happens to meet one of the big, big rich men of, you know, of modern time, Mr. Aaron Darcy, their differences take over the pages.
Right.
um, her, and she's very much inspired, like by her father, who was also he actually deceased, and so when the book referenced her father, it's through through the past, but she's very concerned by those justices, those issues that affect people, particularly of brown and black.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's very active in that area. So when a very hostile Layla Benet meets a very arrogant and haughty Aaron Darcy, their differences do take over. And it takes them a while before they start realizing that their methods their methods of helping a community, their approaches are very different, and they're very able to kind of they're through unique set of circumstances, they're able to kind of um, kind of use the best of their strengths to kind of benefit the entire community. And so that one is really that's the totality of that book, Hostel Meets Hottie.
Wow. You are amazing. Your stories are amazing. And it's amazing. So right while you were talking this time, I went back to the thought of you spending time in prayer and spending time fasting to hear from the
Absolutely.
Holy Spirit what to write. And so that just took me back to that, that part of the conversation. I just think that's so amazing, the ideas and the things that, that you use the word brew earlier, that brews up in you,
Yeah.
to get out. And so it's great to hear how all of that works for you. So tell us the name of your third book, and then tell us a little bit about that book, please.
The name of my third book is entitled A Mother's Christmas Gift. And a little earlier, I mentioned that it's my favorite. It's my
Yes.
personal favorite. But it's called A Mother's Christmas Gift. And it's about a single mother slash attorney, um, Sunny Mitchell, who is, I mean, she is a godsend. She is very much that very pleasant woman that we all might have kind of came across at some point in our lives,
Uh-huh.
who is she's like a staple to her family and to her community. And so this year, she's been selected on the PTA by the PTA to basically be put in charge of the Christmas play at her children's school. She's a single mother of three children, and so she's been put in charge. Put together a play, put together the Christmas play for our school. And so, of course, while the whole entire PTA is rooting for her, she has a nemesis from high school that kind of still holds a little bit of a grudge just because of personal reasons. But she is that much of the reason I entitled it A Mother's Christmas Gift is because, mothers today take on an enormous amount of tasks. They take on they're here, they're everywhere, and they're there in 20 minutes.
Right.
It's like this everyday drive, everyday obligation that they have. And so her gift, it would happen to be none other than Mr. Brandon Nelson, who is he's a former uh, schoolmate of hers slash boyfriend, high school, junior high, and he had a different path. He became later on in his life a Hollywood director, but he comes back to New York just in time for Christmas, and he's able to kind of see that she has this love for writing,
Right.
and and it's kind of been that's been the he's able to pick up on that, and they're able to kind of pick up where they left off years ago, even in their adult years. So a mother's Christmas gift, he was her gift, and
Oh,
passage, that's the part of the book, but mainly he encourages her. You are a gift to everyone else. Who is your gift? What is it that you are hoping for?
yeah.
And the running joke in that particular book is that she's related to Santa Claus. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, right,
Okay.
right, yeah.
That's awesome. And your fourth book, what is the name of that? Um, and tell us a little bit about it. But before you do that, um, I don't know if you said it in this interview, but how that story makes you think about your mom, the Christmas story, and how, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, tell us about that.
And thank you for asking that.
You're
That
welcome.
is, it was released on my mother's birthday. So that book is definitely a book of significance for me. My mom was someone that really shaped the holidays, my love for it. And, between the decorating and the shopping and the cooking, like my mother made, she made the holidays just memorable and fun and festive, and
Yeah.
you know, the so the things, my memories on Christmas have always been that of joyful experiences and just, and I still feel like a kid now when
Yeah.
Christmas comes around. I mean, I'm still like, ooh, I can't wait.
I love that.
That child part of me will not go away. So, but, I mean, but she shaped the holiday season for me, and not just me, but also, family growing up. She shaped that for the three of us, and so having that experience and wanting to do something in her honor, I put it together, and thankfully, I was able to get it out on her birthday because
That is amazing.
I wanted to just, kind of keep her memory alive and just to
Yes.
uphold the things that she instilled in us. So it was really a tribute to my mother. And so I entitled that a Mother's Christmas Gift because my mother was truly a gift, not just to her children, but to, people that she worked with, her sisters, and, everyone that came across her. So, yeah, she's definitely that's my tribute to her.
That is so amazing. I absolutely love it.
Uh, Thank
Okay,
you.
so now please tell us about your fourth book, the name of it, and um, a little bit about it.
The fourth one, the current one I've written is called A Valentine's Therapy. And a Valentine's Therapy is very much, I feel like it fits the time that we live in just because in terms of people that are in current points in their life that they never expected. You sometimes we as human beings have a vision for ourselves, and we like to imagine where we are or where we would like to have been by a certain point, and that's just not the case.
Right.
So my leading character outlook, her outlook is fading, and her outlook on love and relationships because she had sort of her backstory has not been encouraging to to say the least, and so her experiences in that department are really not encouraging, and so her outlook is suffering. She's not at a point in her life where she wants to be, and and to make kind of matters worse, her estranged sister is getting married.
Oh, wow.
All right, just keep on putting salt to the wound. But
Right.
but right, but so her outlook is suffering. Her her whole thought toward it is starting to just take a terrible direction that I don't think she could have even saw. But it's entitled The Valentine's Therapy because she happens to her not just through her friends, but through the help of a next door neighbor who happens to be what we call nowadays a YouTube celebrity. He
Yeah.
is he kind of helps he kind of helps her see things from a different perspective. And I wanted to highlight what perspective is because perspective is everything. And I've been learning so much about that in just recent years, and so her perspective receives a boost out of as a result of and she's able to go after her dreams as an author. She's able to put aside differences with her sister and be there at her wedding. And so there's definitely a shift. It's a short. I want to say out of the four, it's the shortest one that I've done, but it holds all of those compelling components
Wow.
to give it, to give it, the boost in terms of perspective and reevaluation. And so that would be the fourth and current book we have. Yeah.
Wow. You are amazing. Your story is amazing. Your books are amazing. And I'm so honored and have the to have the pleasure to um, to interview you. I
Oh,
really am, and I pray that as a result of this interview and just as a result of the things that God is doing in your life, that you are able to, that many people read your book,
Absolutely.
your books, and that you continue to allow the Holy Spirit to guide you and to direct you into
Yeah.
writing, and that you allow Him to use you, because giving hope is a big part of why I do the things that I do, to give others hope, to inspire them, to encourage them. And it just means so much to me to be able to do that. And so thanks again for coming on the show, and for allowing me to interview you. Now
Thank
tell
you.
us where we can get these books.
Okay. Well, all four books are available on Amazon.com, and they're available in both formats of paperback as well as Kindle. And
Okay.
and yesterday, God did something for me, and I'm still trying to process it. But I'm still trying to process it. But God blessed me to have my current book of Valentine Therapy available. The paperback version is only available on Barnes and Noble, and so
Wow.
yes, ma'am. Those are the two outlets where you can purchase those books, and so yes, it's been a blessing. And if I could just add, um, Barnes and Noble was a place of where I could get my another place that I could receive inspiration and kind of subtract away from everything that I was facing uh, years ago.
Yes.
So I would sit at Barnes and Noble for hours, and so the fact that um, to have my book on their website, it just was like, my God. Like, yeah, God did something for me, and I just was like, my God, I didn't expect that. And so, but those are the two outlets, two websites where you can make those purchases, and you can purchase them again through paperback or Kindle for all the e-readers.
Okay. So tell us one more time all of the names, all four names of books.
Okay, the first one is entitled Mail on Thursday, and the second is entitled Hostel Meets Hottie, and the third one is called A Mother's Christmas Gift, and the fourth one is called A Valentine's Therapy.
Thank you, Stephen, and thank you so much. And so, guys, go out and get these books. Purchase these books. I encourage you to. He gave us some information on all of the books and what to look forward to in reading those books. Thank you, Stephen, for this opportunity to interview you. And I look forward to talking to you again, um, about your books and about more about your writing, and the writing process. Um, so thanks again for joining me on Love Misunderstood Online Book Club.
Thank you, and thank you for what you are doing for authors. It's truly a blessing, and I just thank you so much. The honor is mine.
Thank you, Stephen. Bye for now.